Italians, the Jews, and the Latinos. Yet everything they love about America comes from us. Jazz, blues, rock and roll, hip hop, all this music dominates the world. We set fashion trends, the slang, the culture, while they copy us and deny us and criminalize us. We led every major movement from freedom in America, forcing the country to live up to its so-called ideas. They tried to erase us, but they could never stop imitating us. Literally, you have people who gave themselves away to whiteness. They changed their names, they abandoned their cultures, they sought white approval, and they still got rejected. They begged and still begging to be included in white society. Shout out to Johnny Harris. You got Italians right now who will tell you they're looked down upon by white people. You got Irish right now who will tell you they look down. You got Jewish people who would testify that they look down upon. And then you got Latinos begging to be white, only to be met with closed doors and rejection, treated like second-class citizens. We never begged. We built our institutions. We redirected what it means to be an American to us. We took their insults and made them our anthems. We took their rejection and turned it into power. See, this is our superpower. We never sought to blend in. We stood out and we forced whiteness to acknowledge us. We built this nation, not for them, but for ourselves. They tried to break us, but we came stronger. I want y'all to understand that they used to call us monkeys. And now the same monkeys are running their corporation and educating their children. They call us lazy. Now let them explain why they consume everything we create, from our music to our culture to our innovations. If they call us subhuman, let them realize that they cheer for us at the Olympics and watch us dominate sports and cheer for us at the Super Bowl. They rely on us to power their economy. We're not just part of America. We're the force that drives it. Now, the other thing you have to understand, we force conversations on our identity. Big shout out to all the foundational Black American women for that. Brothers are a lot more laid back, but the sisters force the issue. And they force, Black women force their beauty standards on everybody else. Let me explain this. So, Soldier the Truth, which means soldier of truth. This woman was the embodiment of resistance. She was formerly a slave. She was born in 1797, lived way up, died in 1883, about 86 years old. She was an abolitionist, and she was a fierce advocate for women's rights. Her name was Isabella Boomfree, and she was born in New York. And she was sold multiple times, okay? But by 1851, Soldier of Truth was not just a free woman, she was a force of nature. At the Women's Convention in Akron, Ohio, she stood before a white audience of suffragists, right? Okay? Many of whom excluded Black women from their movement and delivered a legendary speech, "Ain't I a woman?" In other words, you see me and I'm not a woman. You don't, I'm a woman, I'm Black. My hair is nappy, et cetera, but I'm a woman. She forced them to accept her as a woman. Not as a woman trying to be white, but as a Black woman for who she is and who she was. Her quote was, "That man over there says that women need to be helped into carriages and lifted over ditches and to have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me in the carriages or over mud puddles or gives me the best place. Ain't I a woman?" Do you understand the context of what she's saying? You are going to acknowledge me as a woman just like you acknowledge these white women as a woman. Not because I'm trying to be white, but you're going to take me as I am. And see, these words of truth, it forced those white feminists to confront their hypocrisy. Because see, white women fought for their right to vote, yet many of them ignored, actively opposed the struggles of black women. And so what Soldier the Truth did was she dismantled that myth of feminine fragility and demanded recognition as a black woman. With all her label and all her struggles and all her sacrifices and her presence at that convention, it wasn't welcome, not by all, but she spoke anyway. And she forced America to acknowledge the double burden of both racism and sexism that black women carry, a burden that white women would never truly understand. Shout out to Penny Ford. So we forced ourselves upon them. We wasn't up there faking it, fraud, and trying to be white. That wasn't what we was doing. Another black woman, her name was Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. She was a poet, she was an abolitionist, she was a suffragist. And this sister used her writing and her speeches to challenge racial, gender, and hierarchies. She was from Baltimore. Shout out to B. Moore. She was the first black woman in the United States to be published in a short story. And she spoke against slavery. She spoke against segregation. She spoke against gender discrimination. She was once quoted as saying, "You white women speak here of rights, and I speak of wrongs. We have wrongs to be righted, and we're not all bound up together in this great mission to correct the evils of the nation." In other words, y'all here for something else. I'm here to tell y'all about y'all. She directly challenged white feminists who sought the vote for only themselves while ignoring the fact that black women endured not only sexism, but also the violent reality of racism. You understand? She stood against white supremacy, which denied her humanity. You understand? She stood against gender discrimination. So what I'm trying to tell you is that black women were unapologetically embracing their identity. And they've always been told to shrink themselves. They've always been told to straighten their hair. It's surprising that we don't have an epidemic of skin lightening poison going on around here. Shout out to Reginald Alim Muhammad. As much negative portrayals of blackness as we get. You see, they've been told to make their blackness palatable to white America. They've been told to straighten their hair, soften their voices, stop acting so masculine, step aside, right? While others take credit, right? Never be accepted for who you are, all right? And so what have they done? Black women have forced the world to see them for their full glory, their hair, their skin, their voices and all, from the natural hair movement, which gained momentum in the 1960s and resurged in the 2000s. It's a direct continuation of this fight. Laws like the Crown Act in 2020, which protect black people, but specifically black women, from being discriminated against for wearing their natural hair, it exists because black women refuse to conform. You are going to accept me for who I am. I'm not going to try to be white. I'm not going to fake and fraud. You're going to accept me for who I am. That is our superpower, black folks. The unapologetic presence of black women in politics, from Shirley Chisholm to the first black woman elected to Congress in 1968. Even when you got folks like your black artists like Nina Simone, Toni Morrison, Maya Angelou, they've demanded that black stories be heard and their voices be in the center. Black beauty is to be celebrated, not for trying to be white, but for them being their black selves. And see, this is the legacy of resistance that black folks and black women specifically have put up. You understand? Being unapologetically who they are. Whether we talking about Harriet Tubman or Fannie Lou Hamer, they came in there as themselves and they forced America to accept themselves for who they are. And I mean, we can rehash the civil rights movement 100 times. When I talk about resistance, See, while the rest of these folks were trying to assimilate, okay, while the rest of these people were trying to assimilate, black folks were in Selma, Alabama, fighting against some of the most racist people in the country. We would dress ourselves up in our Sunday best, and we would march our black selves down the middle of these people's streets and bridges and highways and force them to accept that we wasn't ducking and dodging and hiding and sneaking around.
Party going on, we all looking at Dennis. Spurling and subscribe, it only take you a minute. Hit the cash app, super chat, be a penny. One is real good, but 20 more can be plenty. Blizzard King pay a visit, big fans my witness. Appreciate the love, there's black men doing business. Stand up, father and brother, lawyer is he. Hall of Fame game, he's known as Uncle D. Tell it just like B, representing for we know time is money, you learning and pay a fee. Know it's cold outside, but the podcast hot. Giving you a feeling that these others ain't got. Say it's cold outside, but the podcast hot. Giving you a feeling that these others ain't got. Yeah, know that the blizzard come through. Bundle up for the winter, know this hit. Darren Hay watch views. Hit the light, you know that the blizzard come through. Bundle up for the winter, know this hit. Darren Hay watch views. Hit the light.
We still look at all the beautiful music that we've created. That's what's on the inside of us. We are wonderful people.